and sit down.
Support for Wrestle News 365 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, Manscaped, for all of my UK fans out there, Manscaped just launched in the UK. Over here in the United Kingdom, we have gone for years and years and years without using the right tools for the job. But now, you can be one of the first men in England to experience their life-changing products. But it's not just limited to all of the great fans over here in the UK. This offer goes worldwide, so all of my friends over in America and around the world that are listening to this offer still does apply for you. You can still use our code, but I've got to tell you a quick story first. Now, there have been so many times, right? I'm a guy. You gotta groom down there, fellas, right? That's the most important thing. You gotta keep yourself trimmed. You gotta keep yourself proper. And a lot of the time, I've been guilty of this, of using the wrong tools for the job. I've had incidences, I'm not afraid to say it, where things have been nicked, snagged, or in fact cut down there because I wasn't being careful enough and using the right equipment. Now that just shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. You don't want to be worrying about cutting yourself down there. Do you know how painful that is? I can tell you, it hurts quite a lot. And I wish and hope to God it never happens to me again. And it won't happen to me ever again because I'm using Manscaped products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. Big statement, but it's absolutely true. They have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. It's also available around the world as well. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. So those cuts and snags that I was telling you about before are a thing of the past. And let me tell you, when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes so you can get a longer, perfect shave. And not only that, you don't want to be cutting yourself and trimming yourself all over the bathroom, getting hair all over the place. That's just disgusting. The lawnmower has a waterproof technology that allows you to groom in the shower, so no more mess. And one of the coolest features, one of my favorite features about the lawnmower is the LED light which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming experience. So you can shave longer, you can shave more precisely, and you can shave in the shower. What more did I need to tell you? They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand. You can show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So, if you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to tush clean, and you can get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, you heard me right there. 20% off and free shipping. All you have to do is use the code 365WRESTLE at manscaped.com. Make your testies their besties. That's 20% off and free shipping. Not only are you getting 20% off, you're getting free shipping as well with the code 365WRESTLE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 365WRESTLE. Your balls will thank you. Hey guys, how we doing? It's AEW Dynamite time. Thursday Dynamite this week, a special edition of AEW Dynamite, of course, due to what was planned to be the NBA playoffs. Obviously, the NBA playoffs were meant to happen last night, therefore Dynamite was moved to Thursday, but of course they didn't happen. We won't get into all of those reasons, but it means we've got a special Thursday edition of Dynamite, which fits into my schedule nicely. So we can enjoy a bit of Thursday Night Dynamite together. It's almost like watching Impact Wrestling back in the day, isn't it, right? TNA Impact on a Thursday. We've got Brian in the chat who says, I just had Nando's. you're a lucky man, Brian. You're a lucky man. Although I'm going to be a little bit controversial here and say that I think Nando's a little bit overrated. There, I said it. It's a controversial thing. I know, but I don't know. It's chicken, isn't it? Right? So the thing is with like Nando's, whenever I go there and I eat there, I always just think you could do this at home, right? It's not like some other restaurants where you're like, I definitely couldn't have this. I definitely couldn't do this at home. I feel like Nando's, I don't know, they sell their own sauces as well, don't they? Maybe it's incredibly naive of me. I'd say something I do enjoy with watching AEW Dynamite, whenever you watch it on TNT, is the film you get to watch a little bit the last 10 minutes of every time you tune in. So this week, it's, is it Ready Player One? Is that what it's called? I've never seen the film before. So this is the first time I've seen it, and I saw Simon Pegg's in it. And for all of the UK listeners and watchers of this, it's just always incredible to see Simon Pegg in these big films, just because, I don't know, just he's the guy from Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, so it's always crazy to see him in these films. I'm going massively off topic, because we're meant to be talking about pro wrestling. We'll get a little bit pro wrestling in before Dynamite starts. Jon Moxley is been named number one in the PWI 500. Not that those lists ever matter. I think the thing is with those lists, the only reason they kind of happen nowadays is just to get people talking, get people riled up, and get people wondering whether they're legitimate or not. If you pushed me to ask my opinion on that PWI 500 with Jon Moxley as number one, do I think Jon Moxley over the last 12 months has been the best wrestler in the world, or had the best year over the last 12 months? I would say absolutely not. I don't even think he's had the best year in AEW. I think Chris Jericho should be higher than him on that list. And I don't mean this as a slight to Jon Moxley, because Jon Moxley has had a great year. When he left WWE, he was arguably the hottest guy in the business, or one of the hottest free agents in the business anyway. You know, he made the debut of AEW, did great there, had a lot of buzz, did all the great stuff in New Japan, IWGP United States Champion twice, both nights of Wrestle Kingdom, had the matches against Kenny Omega, great. But I think that was only about 9 months of the year, because for me, ever since he became AEW World Champion in February, obviously circumstances have very much hurt this championship run, but for me, that just his AEW title reign for me has just been a bit of a wash. It's just been a bit boring. I don't know about you. I really enjoyed Jon Moxley's work prior to becoming AEW World Champion, but before that, it just was a little bit, I don't know. After that, it just feels a bit flat. Who's he faced for the AEW World title, defended the title against? Jake Hager. Didn't really enjoy that match. I thought it was okay, but not a World Championship match. Brody Lee, the match was fine. The feud was rushed and didn't make a lot of sense. And he's got MJF next, which I think will be the best match of it that he's had as World Champion. But do I think he's the best in the world? Had the best year? I don't think so. But we've got AEW starting up now, as we have the intro. Of course, this is live, and there is going to be actually paid fans. There's going to be paid fans in there at 10% capacity. They've been having temperature checks, health checks. There's been lots of stuff on social media about how they're testing them. So let's have a look and see the live fans, if they can pan to them into the crowds. Of course, this is the first major professional wrestling promotion that is having live fans. Of course, we've had some indie shows. There you go. They pan straight to some fans in the crowd in Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. And, you know, I don't know how I feel about having the live fans back, to be honest. Credit to AEW if they can do it safely. I just don't, my thing I'm concerned about whether it sends the right message. Does it send the right message to the world and to the fans of trying to get fans back in the arena? There's multiple ways you can look at it, I suppose. For me, I'd rather they just wait it out, but we don't know how long this is going to last, as Chris Jericho is about to make his entrance, because he is joining the commentary team for this evening. He is joining Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone tonight. So it continues to be no Excalibur, it would seem. Obviously, Excalibur has been off commentary. Obviously, I think initially there might have been some COVID issue, but obviously the major issue is that footage that aired of him from the early 2000s using some racist language. And he hasn't been seen on Dynamite since. I was under the impression he was going to be returning tonight, but we'll have to wait and see. Chris Jericho looks happy to see the fans there. I still don't know how I feel about that look of having all the fans there. Florida as well is a really badly hit state for COVID. I think it's the third worst state in America, the first worst hit state, shall we say, in America. There we go. The fans are singing along to Judas once again. It's pretty cool to see, isn't it? There's Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone. Chris Jericho goes on commentary. His mic wasn't working. Jim Ross had to turn it on. It's amazing though, isn't it? So they're at 10% capacity right now. And you can already hear the atmosphere it provides and adds to the show, can't you? Which is obviously why they want to do it. I don't think it's necessarily about a money thing with AEW. I think they want to have the atmosphere. AEW are going to be making a profit regardless this year because they make the majority of their money from the television rights that TNT pays them. So it doesn't matter about that. But we're starting off with the tag team gauntlet match to determine the number one contenders for the AEW Tag Team Championships. In the ring, to start off, we have the Young Bucks and the Natural Nightmares, QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes. Looks like that is Nick starting off against QT Marshall. Brian says, so good to hear real fans. You can't, regardless, I suppose, of the discussion as to if they should be there, if it's safe to be there or not, if the message is good that they're there or not. The thing that is, as you mentioned, is very, very good, is that it's great to hear real fans be back, isn't it? That's the major thing, and I think you could see in Jericho's face, couldn't you? How great he thought that it was to have real fans back there. Matt Jackson's in now with Dustin Rhodes. You would assume that the Young Bucks are going to get the first fall here. We know that FTR is going to be in this match. Now, FTR is going to be my prediction to win it. I saw a report today saying that as Dustin Rhodes looks pretty tired, looks pretty out of breath, he's blown up. Dustin Rhodes is just in phenomenal shape. I mean, how old is he now? Should we do a Google search on how old Dustin Rhodes is? Because he's got. I'm going to predict he's 50. But he looks just in phenomenal shape for 50. I mean, I'm just assuming that he is 50 though. Dustin Rhodes. He's older. He's 51. He's 51. He's still killing it every single week on TNT on Dynamite. What a career he's had. Chris Jericho as well on commentary. This is why Jon Moxley isn't number one in the PWI 500, because Chris Jericho was better than AEW this year. AEW was put on the map by Chris Jericho, in my opinion. The most influential figure in AEW in that first year was Chris Jericho. It wasn't Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley had great moments, but the real driving force of AEW in its first 12 months was Chris Jericho. That's why he was the first AEW World Champion, because they needed to put the title on a guy that they knew could carry them and make sure that they didn't flop in the first year. And that's exactly what Chris Jericho did. So we have Dustin Rhodes and Matt Jackson in the middle of the ring. And to be honest, Dustin Rhodes, he's still, like I said, he's 51. He still looks great, and he's still really, really good. I mean, there's an argument to be made that in terms of just solid, reliable in-ring workers, there aren't many better pure wrestlers in AEW right now than Dustin Rhodes. Reliable, solid, still can have a great match, can plug in anywhere. Name recognition, he's still very, very good. We see Ali on the outside with QT Marshall. Don't get that. I mean, she was in a bunny outfit a couple of months ago. Suddenly, she was with QT Marshall. And they never really explained it, or maybe they did on Dark. I don't always catch Dark, but yeah, she's with QT Marshall now. I think initially it was kind of the idea that was that maybe she was going to be playing QT Marshall somehow, but I think they've just dropped that. She's just the manager for the Natural Nightmares now, which for some reason. Ian Thompson says, I would like to say, do you think 2021 will be the year of the Inner Circle? Because I think Santana and Ortiz as the tag champs, Jake as the TNT champ, Chris as the FTW champ, and Sammy as the world champion. Santana and Ortiz as tag team champions, I could see happening. Jake Hager eventually winning the TNT championship, I could see happening. Chris Jericho won't be doing any other championships that aren't the AEW World Championship, and he's not going to do that for a long time. Sammy Guevara being the world champion is several years off, especially given the incidents that happened earlier this year. I do think he is a future world champion, but I think that's a long way off. Thank you for the comment, though, Ian. Really appreciate that. If you are enjoying this live stream tonight, be sure to smash a like on the like button. That really does help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings, get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen any of our videos before. And also, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Really enjoyed Chris Jericho calling Rick Knox a fossil there. Brian says, I was so mad today. Here is Super Frank Lampard buying great players, whoever he wants, backed by the Omer, and of course City by Messi. I'd rather win my titles legit. Well, I don't know which team you support, Brian. As a Man United fan, I'm incredibly jealous they're buying players because we ain't buying anyone. Mac Jackson's channeling his inner Ultimate Warrior there, shaking the ropes. As he gets QT Marshall up on his shoulder, shoves Matt Jackson into Nick Jackson on the turnbuckle, though, rolls up Matt Jackson for a 2.5 count. Very, very close there. QT Marshall, forearm to the face. Looks like goes for a cutter, kick to the face by Nick Jackson. Brian supports Chelsea. Wow, there you go. Great business. Great business, Brian. They hit the BTE trigger on QT Marshall. That might be it. And QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes have been eliminated by the Young Bucks. So who's going to be out next? I thought it was a gauntlet style match. It's not, I guess. So they get the win by the BTE trigger. I was under the impression it was like a gauntlet match. I'm guessing it's not. I'm guessing they just having tournament style through the night. Oh no, it is a gauntlet match. Why are they playing the music then? Very confusing. Really confusing there. Because I thought it was a gauntlet. Why is Justin Roberts giving an announcement saying the winners? And why are they playing the music? Best friends are out though. Best friends are facing them next. I did the results for Sportskeeda on Tuesday. The dark results. Best Friends got a victory on there. They actually brawled with Santana and Ortiz into the crowd during that one. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if we have a Santana and Ortiz confrontation in this one. If I was going to predict it, I would say the Bucks beat Best Friends here due to interference by Santana and Ortiz. But Santana and Ortiz attack the Bucks and then eliminate the Bucks. I called it here first. You heard it here first. That's what I think is going to happen here. What do you guys think of the fans so far? Can you hear them involved in this one? It certainly is a different presentation, especially now to WWE, isn't it? Now that WWE is in the Thunderdome every week, and live fans aren't returning to WWE in person anytime soon, especially during this part of the residency there. The contract between the City of Orlando and WWE was released this past week, and essentially it's until October 31st. They do have the option to extend, but it needs to be agreed 2 weeks in advance. And basically in the contract it said that tickets were initially intentionally omitted, rather, basically saying unless there's an amendment to the agreement, or unless there's an amendment to the agreement when they extend at the end of October, there aren't going to be any live fans watching WWE in person. It's unbelievable by Nick Jackson. It's incredible. Oh, spear on the outside. There aren't going to be any live fans in WWE until at the very latest, or earliest rather, November. Maybe even they might just wait till the Royal Rumble in January next year. Nick Jackson is just an incredible athlete, isn't he? The face buster he did, and then to the moonsault to the outside. Gets speared by Trent though, but it was incredible, really, wasn't it? Bang! Running knee to the face by Trent. From kicks out at 2. Now, of course, Chris Jericho's on commentary here, and Orange Cassidy is part of the faction Best Friends. You wonder if Orange Cassidy is going to come out at some point during this portion of the gauntlet match and maybe get involved with Le Champion. Now, we know that FTR are going to be in this match as well. I mentioned that WWE have filed opposition for the trademarks of FTR, so they're trying to fight that, it would appear. But also, last Saturday on Dynamite, Saturday edition of Dynamite, we saw that Tully Blanchard is the new manager of FTR. Maybe that's the first start in seeing 4 horsemen appear in AEW. We'll have to wait and see with that. Look at Chris Jericho's jacket. That is just outrageous. He's got like a leopard jacket on. And he's telling Tony Schiavone how funny he is right now. You can't disagree, right? Can you? Chris Jericho's the champion. I think it's an interesting discussion. They're talking about the Best Friends there having the most wins in tag team victories in AEW history. But let's be honest here. Could you ever see the Best Friends being AEW World Tag Team Champions? I don't know if I could. I think that just the talent that they have in that AEW Tag Team division, could I really see Best Friends being on top of that division? I don't know. Not right now. Obviously, there's always time to evolve and develop, but not right now for me. And Nick Jackson again goes to the outside, puts Trent against the ring apron there, but Trent's working on Nick Jackson once again. You see people in the crowd there. You see the likes of Luchasaurus. You see Billy Gunn, his son Austin Gunn as well. I'm going to go for a pile driver here on the apron. Super kick to the face. There we go. German suplex on the apron. No way. Bang. Nick Jackson just German suplex Trent on the apron. For me, how many matches do we get with the apron spot now, right? It feels like every match we get an apron bump at some point. Matt Jackson's been tagged in too. Makes a hot tag and comeback against Trent and Chuck Taylor. Bang, DDT. Now Trent looks like he's working over Matt Jackson once again. I'm still going my prediction that FTR are going to leave this one. As here we go, it looks like we're going to have a tombstone. No. I still go my prediction. I think FTR is going to win this one. So what else do we have on tonight's show? We have the Moxley MJF contract signing. We have Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in a tables match. Obviously, this gauntlet match. We have the build continuing to All Out. Chris Jericho, of course, is on commentary as well. He's going to be facing Orange Cassidy in a Mimosa Mayhem match. That was announced on Saturday Night Dynamite last week. Mimosa Mayhem match is essentially, you can win the match by pinfall submission, but the ring looks to be surrounded by an 80-gallon vat of orange juice and champagne, a little bit of the bubbly, to make a mimosa. The only ways to win are by pinfall submission or dropping your opponent into the 80-gallon vat of mimosa. So that is going to be the finish. And I kind of think that given, the humiliation spot, I think Orange Cassidy is going to beat Chris Jericho in that one. Ian Thompson says, I would like to say, when NXT and AEW have their 1-year anniversary shows, do you think AEW will bring back Cody to form 4 Horsemen? And do you think Imperium will go to NXT and win all the titles? Imperium aren't going to NXT in the United States. Walter has been very open that he's... the whole point of when he signed with WWE is that he's staying in Europe. He's happy to do appearances in the United States for takeovers and the such, and the occasional NXT TV taping. They want him on the main roster. They want him on Raw and SmackDown. He doesn't want to go. He wants to stay in Europe. That's his deal, and he's happy where he is. So I don't think Imperium are going to be going to NXT in the United States. If anything, I think the reason that Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner dropped the NXT Tag Team titles last night is because they're going to be going back to NXT UK when it opens up in a couple of weeks' time. If they fly over now, they've got a quarantine for 2 weeks, I believe, right? Or I don't know what those travel restrictions are like, but I do think the Four Horsemen are coming to AEW. Best friends just get the hug. We got a pop. As we got a near fall there by the Bucks. We have Trent just hit the hell out of Matt Jackson on the apron there. Nick's in the ring with him though. Goes for a spin kick, ducks, and a big chop by Trent there. What's going on here? So Matt Jackson's holding Trent. Oh my God. Senton to Trent on the outside. My word. And the crazy thing is that Trent's headbands come off. The battle of the headbands. You never see that headband come off. But his headbands come off. So how many teams are in this match? Is it 4 or is it 6? Because if it's 6, that means we're halfway through. Now, Matt Jackson's setting up Trent. Nick's going up to the top rope. Oh my God, 450. Jeez. That's got to be it. Oh, Trent kicks out. This is my big problem with AEW. That for me there, that has to be the finish. And that has to be the finish because they'll do stuff like this a lot where they do a 450 kick out. There'll be another near fall in a minute and they'll kick out again. And it's kind of like, the match should have ended there. Unless this is the finishing spot here. What the hell's going on? Whoa, Hangman Page. So they're setting up for the Indie Taker there. Matt Jackson has got Trent up for the Tombstone version of it. Nick's going to go for his version of it, but his foot's being out by Hangman on the apron. Hangman Page has just cost the Young Bucks a chance at the AEW World Tag Team Championship. My oh my. And Hangman Adam Page can't even look him in the eye. Look at his eyes, man. They see it once again. Hangman Page is holding on to Nick Jackson. Matt Jackson gets pinned because of it. Man. Hangman Page is selling this to perfection. Looks like he's going to cry. Although I've said this quite a few times, I don't think Hangman Page should be the one to turn heel. I think it should be the Bucks. Hangman Page is so over as a babyface now. Man, what a shot. As he slowly walks up the stairs. And here they come. It's FTR, number 1 ranked tag team in AEW. FTR come out. Tully Blanchard is with them, of course, their new manager. Now, looks like Chucky T might have an injury at the moment. Ian Thompson says it's the same story that we saw between Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. As we're going to picture-in-picture as we go to a commercial break. So at the same time, we will go to a commercial on here. And we'll once again hear from our sponsor who is supporting us for this video, Manscaped. Support for Wrestle News 365 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, Manscaped, for all of my UK fans out there, Manscaped just launched in the UK. Over here in the United Kingdom, we have gone for years and years and years without using the right tools for the job. But now, you can be one of the first men in England to experience their life-changing products. But it's not just limited to all of the great fans over here in the UK. This offer goes worldwide, so all of my friends over in America and around the world that are listening to this offer still does apply for you. You can still use our code, but I've got to tell you a quick story first. Now, there have been so many times, right? I'm a guy. You gotta groom down there, fellas, right? That's the most important thing. You gotta keep yourself trimmed. You gotta keep yourself proper. And a lot of the time, I've been guilty of this, of using the wrong tools for the job. I've had incidences, I'm not afraid to say it, where things have been nicked, snagged, or in fact cut down there because I wasn't being careful enough and using the right equipment. Now that just shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. You don't want to be worrying about cutting yourself down there. Do you know how painful that is? I can tell you, it hurts quite a lot. And I wish and hope to God it never happens to me again. And it won't happen to me ever again because I'm using Manscaped products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. Big statement, but it's absolutely true. They have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. It's also available around the world as well. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. So those cuts and snags that I was telling you about before are a thing of the past. And let me tell you, when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes so you can get a longer, perfect shave. And not only that, you don't want to be cutting yourself and trimming yourself all over the bathroom, getting hair all over the place. That's just disgusting. The lawnmower has a waterproof technology that allows you to groom in the shower, so no more mess. And one of the coolest features, one of my favorite features about the lawnmower is the LED light which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming experience. So you can shave longer, you can shave more precisely, and you can shave in the shower. What more did I need to tell you? They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand. You can show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So, if you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to tush clean, and you can get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, you heard me right there. 20% off and free shipping All you have to do is use the code 365WRESTLE at manscaped.com. Make your testes their besties. That's 20% off and free shipping. Not only are you getting 20% off, you're getting free shipping as well with the code 365WRESTLE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 365WRESTLE. Your balls will thank you. So we're back on TNT right now as we have FTR and the Best Friends in the ring in the commercial break. Oh, it looks like... What the hell was Rick Knox doing? So Chuck Taylor just had Dax Harwood pretty much there, ready, right? And the referee just sort of shouted at him for a while. I don't know what that was. Very, very strange. Over Rick Knox. Back suplex by Cash Wheeler on the outside there. But Dax Harwood just does a chop blocks to Chuck Taylor. So this would be the first time for FTR, actually thinking about it, that FTR have actually, the first time that FTR have performed in front of fans for AEW, right? Which, if that is the case, credit to FTR. I mean, I bet they're very happy with that. Cash Wheeler looks to be in great shape right now. Use of the tag team rate by FTR as well. Love to see that. I think it's dumb whenever people don't use tag ropes. It's just little things like that with tag team psychology that just needs to happen. I hate when people don't do that. I hate when tag ropes aren't used. I hate blind tags. I hate tags when someone's in the middle of the ring. All that sort of stuff. I think it's stupid. The best thing with tag team wrestling is the psychology of tag team wrestling. And he tapped out. Wow. Dax Harwood, he had a submission on Chuck Taylor, and obviously they played up the injury there, and Chuck Taylor tapped out. My, oh my. And they were the final tag team, and FTR are the new AEW. They're the new number one contenders for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Wow. So it looks like, as of right now, that FTR are going to be facing Kenny Omega and Hangman Page for the AEW World Tag Team Championships at AEW All Out. Very, very interesting. It's interesting, isn't it? Maybe that's the state of psychology in professional wrestling. That not a lot of people could tell that they were working over the leg and that was going to actually come into the finish. We're so conditioned as wrestling fans to assume that these things, aren't telling the story and it won't factor into the finish, but actually a little bit of psychology. Not a bad thing whatsoever. So, FTR, new not tag team champions just yet, number one contenders for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. So how does Hangman Page factor into this as well? Hangman Page obviously friends with FTR too. And FTR really milking this celebration as well, aren't they? Jeez. Man, Cash Wheeler looks like he's about to explode. He's going bright red. Now we have back to Chris Jericho and Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone on commentary. Look at the three different attires you see there. You have Chris Jericho. He's got his he's got his leopard jacket on with leather gloves, and he's got his bandana around his neck. You've got Tony Schiavone in his suit and tie, looking all serious, and then you've got Jim Ross in just a dress shirt. Brian says AEW has such great storylines. See, Vince, it's not hard. Well, these things, So what did we all think of that? FTR are the number one contenders for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Again, I think the interesting thing is there, we're going to obviously see more about the Young Bucks and Hangman Page. How does that factor in? Of course, Hangman Page is one half of the Tag Team Champions for AEW. So what happens there? Hangman Page, of course, is friends with FTR. We've seen an allegiance there over the last few weeks. Maybe that's part of the Four Horsemen that's being put together. Maybe the Four Horsemen could be Tully, could be Arn, Cody, FTR, and Hangman Page. What about that for a lineup? I'd certainly be interested in seeing that going forward in AEW. I think that would be a lot of fun. But a fun opener to the show. Half an hour into AEW Dynamite right now. So we're a quarter way through the show and we have number one contenders for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. FTR versus Hangman Page and Kenny Omega at All Out. My oh my, what a match that's going to be. That's going to be an absolute barn burner of a match, let's be honest. Who do we think is going to win that one? I mean, if you think about it realistically, FTR, they have to win that. And I think they will. I think that will be the moment in which we see Kenny Omega and Hangman Page lose the Tag Team Championships. I think that will be the moment as well that I think Kenny Omega is the one to turn heel at that point. I think people are going to think that after tonight, Hangman Page is going to turn heel. I disagree. I think it's going to be Kenny Omega. People forget, a couple of weeks ago on AEW Dynamite, it was Kenny Omega who just beat the hell out of Marco Stunt after one of the matches for no apparent reason, and we saw the glint in his eye. We saw the heel version of the cleaner there. It looks to me like we're getting a heel New Japan version of Kenny Omega coming soon, so don't forget that. Unless Hangman Page and Kenny Omega collectively turn heel, which I don't think they will. I think Kenny Omega is going to be the one to turn heel. I don't think it's going to be Hangman Page. As I mentioned, I think Hangman Page is too popular as a babyface right now. The intention at the start of the year was to turn Hangman Page heel. That was always the plan. The issue was Hangman Page got incredibly popular and he got incredibly over during his heel turn. People like the guy that drinks. People like the guy who doesn't care. People like that. People enjoy it. And that's the case with Hangman Page. That's the case. As we come back to Dynamite with a promo, is that Darby Allin? He's got thumbtacks in his back. And he's got the mask of Ricky Starks on his face right now. Of course, was it Ricky Starks? Was it on Dynamite last week? He dressed up as Darby Allin. Darby Allin standing on a bridge and he's jumped off. Into water, obviously. Thankfully. I mean, it was not getting that graphic. It's only TV-14. Darby Allin's, hasn't had enough, but I think the interesting thing is then, obviously, for the thumbtacks in his back, someone had to put them in. And I'm assuming if they're real thumbtacks, they're not just, like stickers. So there's going to be a Casino Battle Royal at All Out. Winner gets an AEW World Championship match. Darby Allin and Lance Archer are in there. That is interesting. Obviously, I'm assuming more competitors will be announced. Darby Allin, how many opportunities has he had now for the AEW World Championship? 2? I think eventually, of course, he will become the AEW World Champion. I have no doubts about that. I don't think that's going to be anytime soon, but I think within the next couple of years, absolutely. Maybe he'll win. Maybe he'll win it All Out. But, of course, we've seen the Jon Moxley Darby Allin match recently. Out comes Lance Archer. Lance Archer this week. Oh no, I was just about to say he hasn't hurt anyone yet, and he just punched someone in the crowd in the face. Awesome. I'm a big fan of Lance Archer. He's with Jake Roberts is with him as always. I want to see more Jake Roberts promos in AEW, man. Jake Roberts promo will never get old. Jake Roberts also looks like he's got a fresh dye job on that mustache. That thing is dark. That thing is dark. Lance Archer also as well. Am I the only one? I think his entrance theme is so good. It's awesome. Jake Roberts laughing his ass off. I wonder what Jake Roberts thinks. I was watching a shoot interview actually today, ironically, on the Hannibal TV channel. And obviously you see his thoughts on psychology, and you see his thoughts on the discussion of professional wrestling, booking of professional wrestling. And I just, sometimes when you see the things in AEW that people do pick up on, the psychology side of things, I wonder what he thinks. I would be fascinating to pick his brain as to what he thinks AEW could improve on, and how much of an influence he has. He's just a talent. As far as I'm aware, he's not doing anything backstage in terms of writing, producing, or anything like that. I'm sure he lends his opinion. He has to, and you can't not take the opinion of Jake Roberts. But yeah, man, that mustache has died. That mustache has died. That looks like he's got a caterpillar on his face, man. And the guy who Lance Archer's in the ring is getting a couple of chops, but Lance Archer's just sort of standing there. Bang! Little chop himself back. Here's a question though: do we think we're eventually going to see a Jake Roberts DDT at some point in AEW? Jake Roberts just sat down on the outside. He ain't even standing up anymore. He's just sitting on the. He's just sitting on the stage. Says there, Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone on commentary putting over that Lance Archer apparently is the number 2 ranked contender for the AEW Championship in AEW right now. 12-1. The only match he lost was against Cody at Double or Nothing, which, to be honest, was a real devastating defeat, in my opinion. I felt at the time that maybe Lance Archer should have been the one to win that match, because they built him up. He'd come in, built up the monster. And the important thing was, when you're building up new stars, massive choke slam. The important thing is when you're building up new superstars is they have to win. And he lost his first big match. It's the choke slam, pulls him up at the count of 2. Jim Ross has just called Jake Roberts orgasmic at ringside. I mean, it's a TV-14 show, Jim. Let's calm this one down. There we go. He's going to go for the blackout, I think. Here we go. What a finish this is. It's like a reverse version of the... I was going to say it's like a reverse... There we go. He's going to slam his head into the mats as well. You got to say that, I think... And then he gets the free count for Lance Archer. You have to say that Jake Roberts has... Jericho is singing on commentary now. What is going on? What's going on? Ian says, can you imagine Lance Archer wins the Battle Royal and Jon Moxley retains, and we get Jon Moxley Lance Archer in a rematch from Wrestle Kingdom 14? That is a very, very good point, Ian. I could absolutely see that happening. My concern would be, once again, is that Lance Archer gets built up to the big match but loses. But is Lance Archer going to be AEW World Champion? I don't think so. The guy is, and he's nearly 40, but he has the squash match, big guy beatdown gimmick played to perfection. I also would love to see some promo back and forth between Jake the Snake and Jon Moxley. Can we think about those promos? I think my favorite thing about the Brian Cage-Jon Moxley feud was the promos between Taz and Jon Moxley, and that was interrupted heavily by COVID. So I'd love to see that. I think that's a great idea, Ian. I'd love to see a Wrestle Kingdom 14 match, and it'd be interesting to see if they could factor in the US Championship. Jeez, Jake. Jake. So we know that they're hyping up a promo there. They're hyping up a promo that Jake Roberts, once we get back from the commercial, Jake Roberts is going to cut a promo. What's Jake going to say? A live mic on live television, you never know. But I don't know if we just saw a bit of a rude gesture by Jake Roberts. I don't know if you noticed that. But I think that's a great point that Ian made. I think I won't be surprised if Lance Archer is going to be the next contender for the AEW World Championship after All Out. Although I still do think, I still would suggest maybe that is MJF. Does that mean MJF isn't going to win? We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. I'm just having a look on Twitter now, and we're seeing some of the fans who are at the show, and they're showing how socially distanced they are, which is great to see. Look, as I mentioned earlier, if it were me, I wouldn't have the live fans there, purely because I'm not sure about the message that it sends. You have to not only factor in the people that are attending the show, but the people watching at home. If if you send the message that it's safe to go out and not socially distance and wear a mask, what does that do to young, impressionable fans, etc.? It looks to me like social distancing is taking place and everyone is wearing a mask. And as far as I'm aware, there are temperature checks going into the place as well. The worrying thing was, and Tony Khan actually did do a Twitter post and a statement about this last week, is that ticket scalpers are the scourge of the earth. They are the lowest of the low. They are those fish that swim by big sharks and try and eat tiny fish. I don't know if that analogy actually makes any sense or if that's real there, but that's exactly what they are, right? So ticket scalpers, what they were doing is they were purchasing, the way that AEW had set up these tickets for these shows is they were selling them in pods, essentially, or in groups. So you could go with people that were part of your household or, friends, close friends, loved ones, so you wouldn't mix in with strangers, essentially. You were still remaining in your socially distanced bubble. The issue is that these ticket scalpers, these second-hand ticket salesmen, were purchasing these tickets in bulk and then selling them, essentially making the pods and the groups redundant by mixing up the people again. And AEW basically said that they were going to police this, and if they found out that people were doing this, they would just remove the order and put them back on sale. So credit to AEW for doing that. It looks to me that they are socially distanced, which is good. And maybe, I think this is at 10%. We're going to have 15% going forward. It's the first step, obviously, in getting fans back into the arena. As I mentioned, my only concern would be the message. I have no doubts that AEW will do it safely, but it's about the message that is being sent, I suppose. Here we go, we're back. Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts cutting a promo. Hyping up the Casino Battle Royal here. 21 men entering. It says one man's going to walk out and it better be Lance Archer. And they're talking about getting rid of the blemish. Feeding Lance is like feeding a wood chipper, apparently. Put a log in and confetti comes out. I'm not sure that how it works, Jake. I don't think you put a log in and confetti comes out of it. I think it's still wood. Here we go. So someone's interrupting. What music is this? What's going on? Oh, look, and he's interrupting them. It's Taz, Ricky Starks, and Brian Cage. Looks like we got some new ring music. That's why. That's why I didn't recognise it. He's called them the Flintstones. Barney, Wilmer, and Fred. Barney, Fred, and Wilmer. So it looks like Ricky Starks and Brian Cage are going to be in this Battle Royal 2. Man, who would think in 2020 on TNT we're going to have Jake Roberts and Taz dueling on promos? And here he comes. Darby Allin's about to come out now. That was a bit awkward, that promo exchange from Jake Roberts. I mean, he wouldn't let Taz talk. And then he did it, and we were waiting for the music. Darby Allin's skating. Here he goes. Bang. Shotgun dropkick to Ricky Stark. Dropkicked him out of his shoes. Oh, my God. And looks like his chain's disappeared as well. He's not only has dropkicked Ricky Starks out of his shoes, he's punched him out of his jewellery. And Darby Allin and Ricky Starks are brawling up the entrance ramp. And we've got Brian Cage and Lance Archer in the ring now. That's going to be a lot of fun. Crowd's chanting, let him fight. I wouldn't mind seeing a Brian Cage Lance Archer match. That'd be a lot of fun. I want to see Taz locking a Taz mission on Jake Roberts. There we go. MJF's backstage. He's got a neck brace and a walker. What are your thoughts on the MJF presidential campaign? I'm not saying it's bad work. Does MJF really need to be doing this whole campaign stuff kind of deal? I don't know if he really does need to be doing that. I'm a huge fan of MJF because obviously he's unbelievable. He's great on the mic. I just don't know if he needs to be doing this. We go to a promo package for Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida. Thunder Rosa, I've been highly critical of AEW's women's division because the women's division in little Jordan Grace cameo there, Impact Wrestling's Jordan Grace. We got some NWA footage as well. NWA Power, man, I miss NWA Power. And we got Billy Corgan. Absolutely, there's a relationship going on here. If we're getting the NWA president on TNT right now, and we're getting footage, actual footage, NWA footage from hard times when she won the NWA World Women's Championship, and we're getting NWA Power, there's a relationship going on here. Absolutely. And also as well, like I mentioned, Thunder Rosa, I've been highly critical of AEW's women's division, and Thunder Rosa is for me one of the best females in the world. There you go. Billy Corgan says this is an opportunity for our two promotions to work together. This is absolutely. I mean, is this arguably one of the bigger matches on AEW pay-per-view history from the female point of view? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a female match that I'm actually excited to see in AEW. Make no mistake, though. Thunder Rosa is still signed to AEW. She's sticking around with AEW. So, no doubt. Tony might buy the NWA. I don't think so. I think NWA, they're using this as a platform to get their name back out there. The reason why NWA, I think the real reason they're so open to do this is that, of course, NWA did have the NWA Power tapings that they were doing and the pay-per-views, and they were on a roll at the start of the year. They were getting their name out there. People were watching their product. People were excited about watching the NWA. Obviously, COVID changed that, and then their vice president, Dave Lagana, resigned due to the speaking out allegations, and they kind of went on hold because of that. The reason why they're working with AEW now is to have their talent get some paydays, because they won't get, well, unless they had guaranteed contracts, but they wouldn't make as much money as they could. But also, the NWA are currently in the process. I don't know if they've announced this, but they will announce it soon. They're going to be doing weekly pay-per-views, similar to how TNA used to do it back in 2002, the early days of TNA. NWA are going to be doing weekly pay-per-views on Fight TV starting, I believe, in September. So I wouldn't be surprised if they use this as a platform to launch their weekly pay-per-views. I think they're allowing their talent to work outside of NWA right now to, again, keep them working, but also keep the name of the NWA out there. So that's exactly why Thunder Rosa is working with AEW right now and why she's actually holding the AEW World Championship. As I mentioned, I think it's probably the female match that I'm looking forward to the most in AEW's history, right? Everyone's been very critical about the AEW women's division because it's not very good. And I don't think that's the talent's fault. I do think they need more talent and better talent. But the major problem with the AEW women's division isn't necessarily just the talent. The major problem is the way that they're presented and the way that they're booked. You had Impact Wrestling this past week on Tuesday, night 2 of Impact Emergence. The main event was a 30-minute Iron Man match for the Impact Women's Knockouts Championship. Could AEW do that? No. And they can't do it because they would never give their females the opportunity to do it. It works both ways. You can use the excuse of, could they even do the main event? Well, you have to put them in the position to succeed. And I think that's the issue with AEW's female division right now. Not only is the talent not up there, but the talent isn't even put into a position to succeed. So why, if you're a female, why would you go to AEW right now? If you're a female wrestler, the best places to go, of course, NXT or WWE, their women's division is very, very good. Or failing that, you could go to Impact Wrestling, and their Knockouts division is very, very good too. If I'm a female wrestler, I'm not sure how much I would want to go to go to AEW right now because the division isn't great. Now, they have got some good talent. Kairi Shida, I'm a big fan of. I like Britt Baker's work. I like Nyla Rose's work. But again, there's just their division just isn't promoted the best way that it should see. So we're going to have MJF come out. We had a sign there saying MJF was better than the RNC. So that's interesting. I'm just checking here. Ryan Satin's did some tweets. Tony Khan did a pre-game speech to the audience. Ryan Satin said, "Wonder if the people who compared WWE to a North Korean regime for asking their virtual crowd to cheer will say the same thing about AEW asking the crowd not to curse at our wrestling show. Doubt it." Tony Khan said, then Ryan Satin says, "Also, I'm not criticizing this. I'm saying both are totally normal things to do when producing live television show. The double standard is confusing to me." Tony Khan has responded, said, "They're two completely different things, I think." Ryan Satin said, "How so? Both are trying to influence how the crowd reacts to a certain degree for television purposes. Because I wasn't telling them when or what to chant. I'm telling them not to chant profanity so we don't get fined. It's not even similar, man." Then Ryan Satin has said, "Since Dynamite airs on cable, who does the fine come from? The FCC's profanity rules don't govern cable, and multiple performers say obscenities on Dynamite. Wouldn't the crowd chanting 'holy shit' not be an issue? The network specifically told me not to let the crowd chant that. I'm a good cooperative media partner." Ryan Satin, I'm not going to say that. I am a fan of Ryan Satin, right? I think Ryan Satin's work is very, very good. I don't think he's a WWE shill, as some people say about him. I think the opposite. I think he does good work. Although I do think he does try to, when it comes to AEW, try and point things out that don't make a lot of sense. I had an argument with him once about the Orange Cassidy dropping orange juice segment on Chris Jericho because he said that he thought it was stupid, and I pointed out that WWE had done the same segment a million times, and that angered him a lot. That's just Ryan Satin, unfortunately. I respect his work, and I think he's a good guy, but sometimes I don't think he's the biggest fan of AEW. Not that that's a bad thing at all, but that's just him. So we see Jon Moxley here, gets a reaction, kind of comes through the crowd. Be careful, John. Social distancing. You're not wearing a mask. They're talking about Jon Moxley being the PWI 100 and the PWI 500. Which, again, don't agree with. Chris Jericho saying what? ...2020 singles record for Jon Moxley is 15-0, which factors into the PWI 500. And there you go, look. There it says, the digital edition is available now. PWI500.com. Could you imagine? I wonder why he got on the front, why he is the number one ranked wrestler, and it's on TNT. Who could believe it? That would never happen in WWE. Or even in New Japan, probably. They're trying to ban the paradigm shift. Or they said it is successfully been banned. And Jon Moxley, he I don't want to point things out. He got a receding hairline going on, John. Jon Moxley is not yet signed. This pen is very close to paper. If I was Jon Moxley, and I think this is what they could do, I'd drop him once again with a paradigm shift. Just because it's banned from the match at All Out. Crowd chants Moxley. It is nice to have crowd chants back, isn't it? If you have enjoyed the video so far, be sure to smash a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. There you go. He said social distancing like your hairline, John. I mean, that's what I said. Moxley said, don't worry, you'll get there first. You've just got to hit puberty first. Brian says, I don't think a lot of women in AEW are still green. That's why they're not promoted as much. Yeah, it's a factor, of course. MJF said Jon Moxley's as sharp as a marble. Of course, MJF's calling Jon Moxley Dictator John again. Calls Jon Moxley a one-trick pony. I mean, Jon Moxley is sweating. That Florida heat is something else, isn't it? I've noticed that. Recently. For a lot of the WWE tapings at the Performance Center, obviously both of these shows take place in Florida, and it is hot at the moment. They are sweating. He's saying that MJF saying that Mike Tyson said you wouldn't want to be in a dark alley with that guy. Ian Thompson says Jon Moxley, MJF has to be a classic. Surely it will be a good match. MJF said he wouldn't want to be in a dark alley with Jon Moxley either, but it doesn't matter. They're going to be in a professional wrestling ring. You know, it's interesting because he calls himself Pro Wrestling Prodigy. For me, going into this, I thought MJF, it was going to be a big crowning moment for him. I thought it was going to be a crowning moment for MJF, but at All Out. But with that Lance Archer segment earlier on in the night, I don't know, I think we might be getting Lance Archer versus Jon Moxley after All Out. So I think Jon Moxley might defeat MJF, even though I would probably have MJF win at All Out. You've got to make a new star, an AEW star. And Jon Moxley is literally bright red right now. MJF said he's not. Jon Moxley is not a wrestler. He's a glorified goon. He's not as bad as the goon in WWE. Surely not. Surely not. Ryan Satin looks to be backtracking slightly. He says, totally understandable. To be fair, though, the networks also wanted WWE to have an active crowd in what is generally not an active situation, brackets watching from home, so it comes across better on TV. They're being a good cooperative media partner too, so it does seem comparable. Oh, just leave it. Here we go. Jon Moxley's being compared to Sandman. Just the Sandman, New Jack. Calls him hot garbage. I tell you what, MJF, there is no way he would call New Jack hot garbage to his face, because New Jack would actually physically, and not just say that, oh, he'll kill him. New Jack would kill him. I mean, literally. MJF is still talking. MJF says at the end of All Out he's wearing Pretty Platinum, which is the name of that AEW World Championship. Oh, it doesn't have a nameplate as well. I didn't realise that the AEW World Championship had a nameplate. It says Moxley on it. I didn't realise that we had nameplates on the AEW World Championship. I love a nameplate. Obviously, they've got the side plates in WWE, but I think I still love a nameplate. And its MJF promo is going some, isn't it? He's still going on about the paradigm shift. He asks if Jon Moxley isn't man enough to beat Jon Moxley without the paradigm shift. He then says you should tell that hot little wife of yours that MJF is single. Renee Young, name drop. Let's wait for the Renee Young to AEW rumours. First of all, she's got a non-compete clause, and I don't know if she will go to AEW. Maybe eventually, but... But people will just love to say that Renee Young is going to AEW, but not for a while. Jon Moxley says, does he need the paradigm shift to beat him? I mean, I've seen a lot of people say that Jon Moxley is cosplaying Steve Austin, and I think they're doing the same thing here, aren't they? He's trying to have a match against Steve Austin without the stunner, right? That's the storyline here. He says that without the paradigm shift, he's got to get creative. Well, also you have to remember that Jon Moxley defeated Brian Cage by submission. Did he beat Jake Hager by a choke as well? I think he'll do the same to MJF at All Out. I think he'll beat him by choke or submission. I don't think it matters. That's a bit confusing in the logic to this one, really. How often have we seen Jon Moxley and AEW win by submission? A couple of times. Nothing you say matters, he says to MJF. And nothing he signs matters. That should have made the whole segment a little bit redundant. Nothing you say matters and nothing I sign matters. Well, he just kind of just killed the segment a little bit then, hasn't he? He signed it, and then everyone is cheering and high-fiving. Get ready. We're going to get MJF to stand up. He shakes the hand of his lawyer. He says, and thank you for being cool for what I added on page 17. He says, you didn't read it, dude. You should have read it. What did he add on page 17? Wow. So next week, Jon Moxley will face off against MJF's lawyer. The paradigm shift is legal, and if the lawyer doesn't show up, MJF will not have his AEW World Championship match at All Out. So there you go. Jon Moxley Esquire is fooled a lawyer there. How do I feel about that one? Apparently, Jon Moxley is the modern day Steve Austin, and also he can trick a lawyer. Apparently, I don't know if I enjoyed that segment or not. I think Jon Moxley in front of a live crowd, you can tell he's a lot better in front of a live crowd. He has that emotion, that reaction, and look, he's a big deal. He's a big star, and he feels like a big star when he's in front of that live crowd. And that segment, he felt like he was a big star. I kind of felt like for one of the first times, really, when I was watching that MJF promo there. I don't know about you, I just felt it was really rambly. That just sort of like he was saying a lot of words, but not actually saying anything at all. Maybe, I guess the response to that will be, well, that's the point. He's a heel. He's meant to get you angry. But I don't know. I kind of just felt like during that he was just rambling and waffling on. As I mentioned, I just don't think, in my opinion, he needs this whole presidential lawyery stuff. Why can't it just be MJF versus Jon Moxley? Yeah, I get it. We're going to have a presidential election in a couple of months in the United States. Do we really need to capitalize on it that much? We have to have this presidential election kind of gimmick for MJF? No. And I just felt like that promo by MJF, there was just, I don't know, parts of it very, very rambly. I enjoyed the hairline reference by MJF. I enjoyed Jon Moxley's comebacks about, you haven't even hit puberty yet, stuff like that. That was great. But part of that MJF promo was very, very rambly. Very, very rambly. And as I mentioned, the whole Jon Moxley tricks a lawyer, I don't know. Do they really need to do that? I don't think so. They could have done it a separate way of just having Jon Moxley just leverage it. Go, okay, fine. I'll make sure that I don't use the paradigm shift at All Out. We'll put that in the contract. I'll sign that. But if I'm gonna sign that, I'm telling you that I want to face your lawyer next week where I can use the paradigm shift. And if he doesn't show up, you lose your championship match at All Out. Then MJF, without even thinking about it, doesn't even ask his lawyer. He signs it, throws his lawyer to the wolves because that's what a heel should do. They don't need to do, Jon Moxley, he's not only is he a hunk and he can fight guys in the ring, blah, blah, blah. He's actually smarter than a lawyer. Yeah, come on. You don't need to do that. It just is unnecessary, I don't think. I don't think it's... again, you don't have to do that, right? It just felt a bit silly. That to me felt like a segment that if Jon Moxley had done that in WWE, he would have said it was a bit hokey. I felt it was a bit hokey in that one. Ian Thompson says, what would happen if Jon Moxley wins? Well, he'd be the world champion, right? Or do you mean next week? Brian says Renee Young will cost MJF. Well, Renee Young actually has a non-compete clause, so she won't be on AEW TV for a long time. As we're back on Dynamite looking at Santana and Ortiz wrecking the minivan of Trent's mum, Sue. What I did think was pretty funny and pretty cool is when I think it was Ortiz threw the sledgehammer at the windshield of the minivan and it just stuck in it. That was awesome. Ian says next week, if he wins next week, nothing. He'll just kick the hell out of MJF's lawyer. I think that's what they'll do there. Ortiz says, we regret that his Trent's mum wasn't in the van when they wrecked it. Here we go. We're going to have 8-man tag team action here. Out come the Lucha Brothers and Blade and the Butcher. We're going to see Eddie Kingston. Yes, we are. So this is going to be a new faction, it looks like. Eddie Kingston, the Lucha Brothers, Blade, and the Butcher. Eddie Kingston, another one, an NWA talent that's now signed to AEW. Eddie Kingston's an unbelievable promo. He's a hell of a promo. Be interesting to see what happens when Pac is eventually allowed to come back to AEW. Where does he factor into this? Because of course Pac was Death Triangle with Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix. So we've got Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., Sonny Kiss, and Joey Janela. Great to see Brian Pillman Jr. on TNT. Brian Pillman back on Pillman back on TNT for the first time since 95, when Brian Pillman's with WCW. Brian Pillman Sr., that is, of course. Brian Pillman Jr. looks to be in phenomenal shape at the moment. Ian says, I'm surprised what AEW has done with Eddie Kingston, but I am impressed with Tony Khan. Brian says, you just know that Renee is coming to AEW, but with a deal where she can work elsewhere like NHL, Fox, ESPN. I agree. She'll be getting a lot of offers. She won't just be tied down to one professional wrestling company. She'd likely, I could see her presenting Sports Center. She's got the relationship with people on Fox Sports. So I think she'll be doing that. I think she'll probably do jobs there. And she's releasing a cookbook. She'll have a podcast. She will be all over the place. She isn't going to be tied down to one position like she was in WWE. And the Butcher has got Garrison in the ring. Gut-wrench suplex. Bang, Griff Garrison gets a big boot to Blade in the ring right now. In comes Sonny Kiss. Chris Jericho. Jim Ross says Pillman is a spitting image of his dad. And then Chris Jericho said just as weird too. Chris Jericho on commentary is something else, man. There you go. Handspring flip and a slap to the face by Sonny Kiss. And Sonny Kiss is a great athlete, man. As people forget about him, he's just an incredible athlete. Tags in Joey Janela. I'm not sure what he's wearing. Chris Jericho says the only thing bad about Joey Janela is his fashion sense, even though he's wearing the exact same thing Chris Jericho is. Still to come tonight, we've got Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara in a tables match. And Brian Pillman Jr., when eventually he gets tagged in, we're going to see how great Brian Pillman Jr. is. He's actually really, really good in the ring as well. As we see multiple people coming into clotheslines here. Rey Fenix is the Hurricane Rana. It's Pentagon Jr. into... Who is that? Is that Joey Janela in the corner? Not sure how many... Not sure what the referee's doing in terms of the 10 count there for tag teams as they enter the ring. As we go to picture-in-picture. Interesting to see what they're doing with Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston is a fantastic talker. Eddie Kingston to be honest, it's a crime it's taken this long to get to a big stage. And I say big stage because he's done all of the other companies, right? He's done Impact, he's done Ring of Honor, he's done NWA. I saw him in NWA at the start of this year. As I mentioned, this was the thing about the NWA. We spoke about it earlier with Thunder Rosa and her match feud with Hikaru Shida and the match at All Out. NWA at the start of the year was a really hot promotion because they were doing a lot of really good things. NWA Power every week, every Tuesday at 6:05 p.m. was a great show. And I really do hope it does come back because it's studio wrestling. It's really well done and it was a lot of fun to watch. And they had great storylines and great work on that. It almost seems like a million years ago, but I remember Aaron Stevens and the question marks from, was it Monrovia? The question mark was one of the most over things on social media at that point. And it's a bit of a shame that the situation is what it is with the NWA right now. And that's not with the NWA, that's with lots of things, isn't it? That's the world because of COVID, unfortunately. But I hope it comes back because the thing that was great about having the NWA around at the time, it's more places for guys to work. And we were getting to that point where we were almost starting to see territories open up again, right? You had WWE and NXT. You could go to AEW. You could go to Ring of Honor. You could go to Impact Wrestling. You could go to NWA. You could go to New Japan. You could go to MLW. There were so many ways, places you could go. Brian says problem was NWA had no income. Well, yes and no. Of course, they didn't have an income from a television side of things. They made money through AdSense when they posted the show on YouTube, and they got a good amount of viewers from that. They also made their money through sponsorships, and they made their money through ticket revenue. They would also make their money through pay-per-view revenue. They would do those monthly pay-per-views on Fight TV from the Atlanta studios. They were also planning on doing the Crockett Cup, actually from a small venue, a small arena, and that was going to make them a lot of money too. And obviously that got changed by COVID too. So they did have income. It's not to say they didn't have income. They were on a tight budget, but also they've got Billy Corgan, who's a benefactor. He's a millionaire. He's a successful guy from his music career and also his investment career as well. So they did have an income, not a lot, but this is why they've been so decimated by COVID. But they're not going out of business just yet or anything like that. As we come back for the commercial, Joey Janela is in the ring. Although the Butcher's just thrown Joey Janela out of the ring. Joey Janela tags in Sonny Kiss again. Hey, Brian Pillman just can't get in this match right now. Sonny Kiss gets the hot tag though. And if I'm Brian Pillman, I'm just be like, can someone tag me in? I'm the only one who hasn't been in the match. Go Sonny. Hurricane Rana to Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix, man, he's just such a talent. Such a talent. Brian says NHL playoffs postponed. All teams walk out. Is that including for next Wednesday too? Because again, we've had Dynamite and we've had NXT preempted because of the NHL and the NBA playoffs, and they're not happening, which is interesting. As we go, Ray Phoenix going for an Escalera. Oh, gets kicked. Bang. Hung up on the ropes. Oh my God. Death Valley driver on the apron. Second apron spot of the night. Super kick though to the gut by Pentagon Jr. Here we go. Package pile driver on the apron too. Oh my God. Here we go. Here comes Brian Pillman Jr. He's in the match. And Brian Pillman just jacked, honestly. I mean, if you've seen Brian Pillman Jr. recently on Twitter, I mean, the guy's put on a ton of muscle. Still fly around, and he's actually really good in the ring. His improvement in the ring recently has been great. Brian Pillman, there we go. What would have been the DUI or DWI by beer money there. But it looks to me we're going to go. Bang. And Pentagon Jr. is going to pin Brian Pillman. Well, after all that, we're waiting for Brian Pillman to get in the match. We're waiting. And he gets pinned after a minute. Great. It looked awkward, though, because Brian Pillman looked like he landed on his head, which did not look great. Eddie Kingston's about to go on the mic here as well. Telling the referee to raise their hands. Crowd's chanting. Eddie says, "I know my name, so shut up." He says that all 5 men in the ring are going to be in the casino battle royale. So who does that mean that we know are in there? We know Darby Allin's in there. We know Lance Archer's in there. We know Brian Cage is in there. We know Absolute Ricky Starks is in there. We know that Rey Fenix, Pentagon Jr., The Blade, The Butcher, and Eddie Kingston are in there. And one of them will win it and become earn a future AEW World Championship opportunity. Franklin says, "Hi, how you doing, buddy?" As we see highlights of Brody Lee's decisive and brutal AEW TNT victory over Cody Rhodes last week. We're also going to see footage of Brody Lee attacking Cody Rhodes, bang, over the head with the bag, which actually had the old pieces of the old TNT World Championship. I was interesting when Brody Lee, because obviously we know that Cody Rhodes is going to take some time off of AEW right now. By all accounts, he's going to be out filming a project with Stephen Amell. It's actually going to be based on pro wrestling. I think it's going to be a sitcom or something like that. The interesting thing about it, with Cody Rhodes going away to film something, is it's kind of like, I know what the naysayers are going to say. It was my first reaction, which I thought was, what kind of EVP goes off to film a project? It does make you think, right? It does make you think, like, what kind of EVP just goes away and films a project, right? He's got responsibilities in the company. I know it's good. Evil Uno is out. He's talking, but his mic isn't working. And they're bringing out a casket, the Dark Order here. You've got the likes of Alex Reynolds there. Evil Udo's lost a ton of weight as well. It's crazy. Stu Grayson purchased 2 vehicles he had on his dream list. Brian says, "Wonder if the Premier League season..." Wow, look at that. Now that is a vehicle. They've bought lawnmowers. There's 6 lawnmowers. What the hell is going on? Now, they're implying that Cody is in that casket there. They're saying they're bidding farewell to Cody. They're opening the casket. And there's someone in there, but he's got something covering his face. Oh, it's 10. Press 10, Vance. He's even got the Cody Rhodes tattoo on his neck. The Nightmare Family. Nightmare Jacket's gone back into the casket. And they're putting the Nightmare Family flag over the casket. What a weird segment this is. What a bad segment this is. And here comes Brody Lee, the new AEW TNT champion. Where is he? There he is. Anna Jay's with him as well. And all of the members of the Dark Order are high-fiving Mr. Brody Lee. Colt Cabana is shaking hands. He's hugging Stu Grayson. He's telling Tony Schiavone to go to the ring. What a great suit that is. As well by Brody Lee. Vince McMahon style suit. Brown shoes and all. The new AEW TNT Championship is certainly an improvement. A finished version. Looks a lot better. A turquoise suit he's wearing with brown shoes. I mean, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy fashion statement. Brian says, LOL, Dark Order doing that gif of the casket every time NXT beat AEW. That's very true. Ian Thompson says, I want to see Matt Cardona versus Brody Lee at All Out for the TNT Championship. That's certainly a possibility. I think that's definitely a possibility. I would not be surprised if that's where they go. Ian Thompson is clairvoyant at this point. Franklin, how you doing, buddy? Of course, Brody Lee as well. This is the first time he's performed in front of AEW fans. When he made his debut, it was the first week of the empty arena shows at Daly's Place, of course. He was going to make his debut in Rochester, New York, and he couldn't. How on earth did Vince McMahon not see anything in Brody Lee? It's just a disgrace, isn't it? He felt that he had to talk with a southern accent. A guy from Rochester, New York. He says the open challenge is over. He said, Brady Lee says no more independent wrestlers, no more TV time on his watch. The Dark Order is filled up with independent wrestlers. Every week they've got a new indie guy under the mask. As the Dark Order chant, you deserve it. Now he's just told the Dark Order to shut up. Brody Lee is introducing Anna Jay as the newest member of the Dark Order. The Queen Slayer. She is 99. John Silver has come out saying, you are the man, Mr. Brody's been celebrating since Saturday, and Brody Lee just punched him in the face. And he said, pick that little shit up. Jesus. I tell you what, for a segment that didn't start pretty great, Brody Lee has turned this segment from a 5 to a close to a 10. Here comes Dustin Rhodes. Here comes QT Marshall as well. where the Dark Order have come from now is incredible. Here comes Scorpio Sky out as well. It's been said on social media that some fans are being kicked out because they weren't wearing their masks. And Anna Jay just slapped Scorpio Sky in the face and allowed Brody Lee to attack Scorpio Sky. And the Dark Order are attacking Dustin and QT Marshall. There we go. There it is. Matt Cardona hits the Rough Rider. A bit late. So we have Dustin, QT, Scorpio Sky, and Matt Cardona fighting off the Dark Order. So I think you're right, Ian. I think we're going to see Matt Cardona versus Brody Lee All Out for the TNT Championship. Brody Lee's back out and he doesn't look happy. I tell you what, that segment from Brody Lee there was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. As I mentioned at the start of that segment, not sure how I really felt about it, but the moment Brody Lee got involved there, that was something else. That was absolutely something else. That was superb. And you look at how far the Dark Order have come. I remember the last episode of AEW Dynamite in 2019 was that December episode, and it ended with the Dark Order standing over the Elite in the ring. The Dark Order had attacked the Bucks, Cody, Dustin, etc. I think even maybe Kenny Omega was in there too. It did a terrible rating. It got like 600,000 viewers. Was really poorly received. Just didn't do very well. It was a big turning point for AEW as well, because Tony Khan basically decided he was going to be taking over more creative after that. And but you look at where the Dark Order is now, and look, I haven't been the biggest fan of the Dark Order for a long time. I thought the gimmick was quite stupid, to be honest. I liked it more when it was a cult and they kind of touched a few of the sort of religious aspects of it. I thought that was a lot of fun. But they're persisting with it, and I'll tell you what, that segment, once Brody Lee got involved, was pretty damn good. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed parts of that. I enjoyed Brody Lee being this psychotic boss that punches his followers, his minions in the face. I think that's hilarious. I think that's brilliant. I think Brody Lee's money. I think Brody Lee's just a fantastic wrestler. He's a fantastic athlete. He's money, right? Brian says, I will say Brody is much better now. How did WWE mess him up like everyone else? These things happen with these guys, right? It's been the case for the longest time, unfortunately. Brian says, well, Tony is doing the right thing. Absolutely. So we know that I think next we're going to have a confrontation between Britt Baker and Big Swole. We know Britt Baker's returning at All Out, isn't she? So we know that she's coming back. She's been on the shelf. I think she had a knee injury. Then she had a nose fixed because, of course, her nose got broken during those shows from the Nightmare Factory in Atlanta, Georgia. I think she's going to be back in the ring at All Out. There we go. Ryan Satin's talking about it again. He says, quote, they're not the same, Ryan. One is instructing fans to do something, and the other is instructing fans not to do something. How do you not get that? You shillmark bootlicker lols. Let it go. Let it go, please. Just let it go, Ryan. Seriously, just let it go. The thing is, I don't understand with that. It can give your opinion on AEW like that. It's fine. But why are you arguing with people once they give their opinion back? That's what I like about this channel here. If someone has an opinion, I'm not going to argue with someone about it. I'm going to say either I disagree or I agree. But that's your opinion. That's the whole point with opinions and stuff like that. So backstage, we have Hangman. Ask about his actions earlier. And here he is, Mac and Nick Jackson. Look at Hangman's eyes. Matt Jackson calls him insecure. Says, "Who are you?" Matt Jackson says all he wants is a friend. Getting a bit weird. Nick Jackson's called him a jobber. Matt Jackson said he's nothing but a drunk and then throws whiskey in his face. Matt Jackson says he didn't ever want to be a part of the Elite. He didn't want to be his friend. He says, "We're done. You're out of the Elite." Oh. Oh, hello. They slam the door and the mirror is cracked and Hangman Page is staring in the mirror. What a great shot that is. I think Matt Jackson there just found like he was in high school and he got dumped by his girlfriend. "You're out of the Elite. I thought you were my friend." Man, get over it. It's business. So we got a 3-on-1 handicap match. Out comes Big Swole. Have Britt Baker on the entrance ramp. So 3-on-1 handicap. There's Penelope Ford, Reba. Is that Reba? Britt Baker says, "You're welcome for the house, my big return." Britt Baker's great on the mic, man. She is so good. So good. Says if they can, if Big Swole can beat this duo in the ring at the moment, she can have Britt Baker in any match that she wants. Because I've got to remember, Britt Baker's a dentist, remember. Don't forget that. Oh, that was nasty. Penelope Ford had Big Swole up on her shoulder and she just fell over. Nearly dropped her on her head. That looked nasty. Oh, looked like Penelope Ford went to shoot her into the ropes and Big Swole just fell over as well. Sloppy start to this one. And Britt Baker's poking her with a crutch. And then comes Reba. Penelope Ford's going to do a handspring. Bang, elbow. Reba. I mean, was that meant to be a running knee CM Punk style? Because it was pretty terrible. Rebel's going up to the top rope. Rebel's going up to the top. She's going to fall over. Big Swole's got Reba up on the top rope, or Rebel, whatever you want to call her. Ian says the Elite are falling apart. Here we go. Frankensteiner. Sort of. Kip Sabian prevents the 3 count. Big Swole to the outside and is just... She's doing ripcord. Bang. Forearm to Kip Sabian. Penelope Ford pump kick to the face. Reba's going to the second rope. Moonsault. And Big Swole kicks out at 2, though. Britt Baker doesn't look happy in her wheelchair there. Here comes Penelope Ford once again. Rebel's got the crutch there. She's trying to use the crutch. Got the other one. She's going to use it. Bang. Hits Penelope Ford in the face. Reba's rolled out of the ring. What the hell was that? And Big Swole has pinned Penelope Ford here. Man, some of the spots in that match were terrible. I wish I could swear on this. But I'm still trying to make partner, so I can't do that yet. But oh my god. Some of those matches. That match was so bad. Jeez. I think that match encapsulates the issues with AEW and the women's division. Is that was really bad, really bad. I think maybe Rebel was like purposely trying to be a bit terrible. I hope so, because she looked like she had no business being in the ring with that. My God. The only good thing about that match is probably Britt Baker's mannerisms on the outside. But yeah, man. That was not amazing, that one. Chris Jericho just told Jim Ross to put his glasses on all time like him, be a pro. We're going to run down the card for next week. They're going to be on Wednesday next week. Santana and Ortiz against the Best Friends. So Chris Jericho is going to be in action next week. The Demo Guard against the bad boy Joey Janela. The reaction of that last match on social media is pretty damning the same way that I was. It was terrible. That match was awful. Winners face each other at All Out. Private Party and SCU versus Young Bucks and Jurassic Express. What a weird stipulation. I mean, here, the Dark Order have come back out. They've got Evil Uno and Stu Grayson and Anna Jay. They've got to join us. There's Taya Conti. Anna Jay and Taya Conti did tag together in the Women's Tag Team Cup. They've handed the Join Us folder to Taya Conti. She's taking it. Looks like Taya Conti is part of the Dark Order. Well, hopefully it's better than that last match. Man, that match was terrible, as the French would say. My word, that was bad. I think I almost did that justice on this watch along, how bad that was. Jesus. They're running through the card at All Out. Jon Moxley versus MJF. There you go. You're seeing these tweets we're seeing now. I hate to say it because I've been hoping for more women's wrestling on AEW, but that really wasn't very good. That was brutal. That may have been the worst segment in AEW Dynamite history. Yeah. That was That was bad. They've also got the Mimosa Mayhem match at All Out. They're running through the All Out card right now. Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. They're showing last week champagne being poured into the eyes of Orange Cassidy on AEW Dynamite. It's got to burn, hasn't it? It's just got to burn the eyes a lot. As I mentioned, I do think that Orange Cassidy will defeat Chris Jericho at All Out. And out comes Sammy Guevara for what I'm assuming is the main event right now. Sammy Guevara versus Broken Matt Hardy in a tables match. Or Matt Hardy, Matthew Hardy. We don't know which version of Matt Hardy it's going to be, of course. But we have Sammy Guevara picture in picture. Says Broken Spirits. Nope. Broken Sammy, question mark. Not a chance. I was going to read all of these out. I cannot be bothered. I can't be bothered to read all out. Let's talk more about that last match, because that match was dog crap. So Big Swole's going to be facing Britt Baker. That match should be fine. But look, Penelope Ford, I've been recently, very impressed. I've been quite impressed by Penelope Ford recently. That match was horrendous. I mean, really bad. Was that the first time we've seen Reba, or whatever in an AEW ring? That was horrific. I mean, I was at one point during that, and I didn't say this at the time because I didn't want to seem like a complete tool, but I thought, maybe she's sort of playing up. She's playing up being like a bad wrestler, like she doesn't know what she's doing. I thought maybe that's the whole point. She's trying to prove, I don't know what I'm doing, but that's my character. It looks more like genuinely she doesn't know what she's doing, because that was bad. That was really, really bad. Brian says, like I said, the AEW women are still green. Problem is WWE swoops up all the women. I don't even think so. I think there's people in the company, there's females in that division they can use. They're not using the right ones. That was just a bad match. That was a bad match. And you've got Taya Conti in the crowd there. She's going to be with the Dark Order. I'd much rather have her in the ring because she can work. There's so much that they need to improve with that women's division. It's the one point I would say that everyone universally talks about that it's poor. Universally, people, if you said what's the worst part about AEW Dynamite, some people are going to say, I didn't, all of it. But the majority of the people will say the problem with AEW Dynamite or AEW in general is that the women's division just isn't up to par, and it's not what it could be, and it's just not very good. Unfortunately, that is the case with AEW, and it's a bit of a chicken and egg scenario with it, because it's kind of like the talent isn't amazing there, so they can't be put in main event spots. But if they're not put in main event spots, how can they improve? So it is chicken and egg, and I do get that. But there's just so much there. They need to bring in better talent. They need to give them more opportunities. Having one match per Dynamite isn't enough. I mean, that's the only AEW Women's Division match we've seen tonight. We saw a promo for Hikaru Shida against Thunder Rosa, which I think is going to probably be the best female match in AEW history. But where's Nyla Rose? She was on Dark last night on Tuesday rather, with Vicky Guerrero. Where's she? Where are all of these? Where are all of these characters? That's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah, and I agree, Brian. I think they will fix it in time. It's just a case of how long has AEW Dynamite been on the air now? It's been on the air since October last year, and it still is, an issue. It still is an issue. But we've got Matt Hardy, who looks like he is just classic Matt Hardy here, against Sammy Guevara, as we have our main event course, a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite, we had Sammy Guevara split open Matt Hardy. I think, to be honest, I think Matt Hardy's going to win this one. I think Sammy Guevara's, he had some heat, of course, backstage because of that segment, threw the wrong chair, bloodied Matt Hardy. I don't think he had heat from the Sasha Banks comments from a long time ago, but there is heat. There is heat. "13 stitches" that Matt Hardy had his head because of Sammy Guevara, as Matt Hardy's thrown Sammy Guevara over there. As Matt Hardy's pounding away on Sammy Guevara here. Bang. Throws him over the guardrail there. He's going to throw the chair at Sammy Guevara. Bang. Tried to do the same thing. We're back to picture-in-picture. We just came back from a commercial. We got another one. AEW's obviously running over time here. They're trying to get their commercials in, which is just going to kill this main event. I mean, Richard, we're going to have... So we had ad break before the main event. Sammy Guevara comes out. Matt Hardy comes out. Then we go straight to ad break once again. We're going to come back, and then we're probably going to have 3-4 minutes of this main event, and we're going to go off the air and watch Ready Player One again on TNT, which we'll do a watch long for that. No, but Brian says, "I don't know if it's Kenny signing the woman, but I would get someone who can sign the best out there before WWE does." Well, I know Kenny Omega is involved with the female division, but he doesn't run it. And in terms of signing talent, that's a Tony Khan. Bang! Oh, God, if you just saw a picture-in-picture, Sammy Guevara just jumped through a table, and again, that would be great. But, it looks like Sammy Guevara, he's been split open now. The irony being that Sammy Guevara's just jumped through the table, and he's been cut open as well, the same way that Matt Hardy was. So the irony being that Sammy Guevara's got colour now. I mean, he is bleeding profusely as well. Ian says that Sammy Guevara... Oh, the message disappeared, Ian. I was enjoying reading that message. You've taken it away from me. It'd be interesting. I'm assuming that the Sammy Guevara getting blood here was not intentional, but it certainly is. The irony is played up to the story there, hasn't it? I feel bad because we've just missed pretty much the majority of this match. I know it's picture-in-picture, but we spent the main event watching adverts for Ready Player One again. We're back there now. Side effect on the apron. Sammy Guevara's laid up on the table. Sammy Guevara vs Matt Hardy should happen at All Out and should be a first blood. Oh, Matt Hardy through the table now. Well, if it was a first blood, then Sammy Guevara would have lost already. I mean, this feud is, over the last couple of weeks, said with that initial shot to the head of Matt Hardy and then the blood of Sammy Guevara's head now in this match has turned very, very violent. If I was AEW, I'd book a rematch between these two at All Out. and make it some form of a hardcore match or something like that. Make them kick the hell out of each other. Get violent. Oh my, he's got it wrapped around the neck of Sammy Guevara. Oh my God. Twist of fate. Sammy Guevara's head was wrapped in the chair. His neck just about snapped. Good God. Crowd are chanting, holy crap. Ryan Satt will love that one. Looks. Matt Hardy's got a table with something written on it, but he got hooked on the ring apron there for a second. And it says deleted on that table. Matt Hardy is wobbly on his feet, but Sammy Guevara is spread out on that table there. Matt Hardy can't even get up to the ropes. Looks big. Oh my God. Superplex through the chair and the table, and Sammy Guevara has won the match. Bit of a strange finish there. Matt Hardy lost because he didn't have equilibrium. A big victory for Sammy Guevara there. And here comes Orange Cassidy, though. Orange Cassidy's just attacked Chris Jericho at the announce desk. He's taken down the backstage thing. It's nearly got into Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone. Jim Ross is attacking the referee. Jim Ross is shoving. A Superman punched Chris Jericho. And this is what I mean. This is what's great about Orange Cassidy and this Chris Jericho feud. He's got serious. It's a new layer to the character. It's a different character. And it proves the point. If Orange Cassidy cares, Rick Knox is crawling. I'm not sure what the hell is going on there. And Chris Jericho is attacking Orange Cassidy. What the hell was Rick Knox doing? He was just crawling on the floor. And we're going off the air. And we're going off the air as Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy brawl. Well, that is AEW Dynamite in the books. What were your thoughts on tonight's show? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments after this video has processed. I really enjoy interacting with you guys on this channel. If you have enjoyed this video, this stream, please do smash a like on the like button as well. It really does help us out. Go up the rankings and get to people's recommendation feeds here on YouTube. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to WrestleNews 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Once the video is processed, we'll put another subscribe button at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch. We're on our way to 800 subscribers on that long road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe. You can also follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are on the screen right now. Links are in the description box below. It's at 365Wrestle on Twitter and at WrestleNews 365 on Facebook and Instagram. As I mentioned during our adverts during this show, you can go to manscaped.com as well. Take advantage of our promo code. The promo code is 365Wrestle. You can get 20% off and free shipping. That's 20% off and free shipping. Take advantage of that. It'd be helping us out. You'd be purchasing a great product from manscaped.com, a great company. So be sure to utilize that. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again